My name is Joshua Bixby. I'm president of Strangeloop. We are a business that's all about acceleration. We speed things up, not just to make them faster, which is important, but we speed things up because we know that it impacts performance. And what's cool about being here at Velocity is there are others that share our vision. So it's really fun. It's a great place to be.
So tell us a little bit more about Strangeloop, what exactly you guys do, how your technology works, and where it kind of fits in the ecosystem.
Absolutely. So we have two sort of general families of products. Ultimately, it's the same product, it's just in a different incarnation. We sit either as a virtual appliance in the data center or as a physical appliance if we're going to be in a data center. And today, we released our service version. So we also can be consumed as a service. In any of the cases, what happens is the request comes in from a browser. The server serves the original HTML that it's always served, and we take that HTML and transform it. We essentially rewrite the HTML so that it is optimized for the particular browser. And when that browser starts consuming the HTML and actually generating the page, it's asking us for optimized resources. At the end of the day, we make things faster in the same way that companies, developers would do by changing the code. We just do it in an automated way.
So tell me a little bit about how the service offering works. Do you use a proxy server?
Gotcha. So the service offering is today available in the cloud. So you can choose your cloud provider. You would CNAME your DNS to us just like you would if you were using a site acceleration service from someone like Akamai. And the traffic would flow from the browser directly through the cloud and onto the data center. And this is really appropriate for customers that don't have control over their data center. So we have some Yahoo Store customers, for example, who don't have control of their data center and they can't put an appliance in. Also really appropriate for organizations where data center rules are so structured and they want some flexibility, perhaps with smaller projects, or they just want to try it out before making a huge investment.
When at Velocity here, we see a lot of presentations from very large companies with a lot of resources and then a lot of servers to optimize. During your presentation a little bit earlier at the show, you were talking about what you call mortal companies.
Yes.
Tell us, what's a mortal company and
how
does it fit?
A mortal company is someone that can't raise an army of developers at a whim. Not to suggest that these large companies do things recklessly, but the reality is if you're a $200 million business with an 8-person development team, your constraints are very different than Google's constraints. Google's constraints, if they have an interesting project, they might invest in it. Most of the organizations we deal with are significantly more constrained and have significantly harder cost-benefit analysis decisions. So all of the data that's related and correlated performance to key business metrics, like I speed up my site by 1 second and I gain 10% more revenue. Important stats have all been generated by the largest companies in the world for 2 reasons. One is they have the time and the energy to generate stats. I mean, most of the enterprises we talk to aren't in that business. They don't have time to start generating stats. Right. So one of the things we wanted to do is start bringing stats to the table for companies that were more like the ones that came and talked to us, where these constraints were real and they didn't have unlimited time and unlimited budgets. We wanted to make sure that the correlations that we saw from the largest businesses hold true, and we saw that for Everyday Health and Auto Anything and J.C. Whitney, where when we sped sites up, they made more money, and that was really important, I think, to bring to the industry today.
Are there any ways in which the sort of performance it changes that you make for the sites of these mortal companies differ from what you see in the large-scale companies? Does the sort of benefits or gains change, or do they track pretty closely?
They track pretty closely. I would say we're seeing, if you look at a company like Google, it's a good example. They've invested heavily in acceleration already. We definitely see there's a diminishing marginal rate of return on any investment in acceleration after you've started putting money in. The first bit is easy. The second bit is harder and more expensive, and so on and so on. And so unquestionably, the largest organizations have invested more, so they're starting from a different place than a lot of the other organizations that we deal with. What I mean by that is most of the mortal companies have a lot more they can gain by investing in acceleration because they probably haven't invested as much as some of these larger businesses. So one of the stats, if we look at the stats from some of the companies, we're seeing 9% conversion, 10% conversions, as opposed to some of the other stats we saw, which are 1 and 2. So it is different. Usually companies have invested less.
So tell me a little bit about the process. Obviously there's usually secret sauce and stuff
Sure.
like this. But what are the key things you're looking at in terms of the attributes of a site
Sure.
to gain the performance
Absolutely.
increases you're looking at?
So first thing that we do is we have to realize that there are different flavors of acceleration for different browsers, number one, and different experiences on the website. If you come to the homepage of a site for the first time, and then you come back, let's say a day later, your experience actually needs to be different. So one of the things you have to realize right away by looking at acceleration and actually tracking that to the business metrics is the fact that we can't serve, it's not one size fits all. So let me give you an example. You come in on IE7 and you've never been to the site before. That request comes through. We track the fact that that is your characteristic. A page gets generated from the server. We transform it based on the knowledge that you're on IE7 and you've never been there before. And that transformation, that acceleration, might take a site that, let's say, has 100 round trips and a meg of payload down to 200K and 10 round trips, as an example. So we're making the page have less payload. We're ensuring that there are less round trips. We're also ensuring that caching is appropriate so that you never serve anything twice. We're manipulating the order of when things show up. We're making sure that we send stuff when the browser's idle. There's a whole bunch of stuff. To your question, there's really no difference between what we're doing for these companies and what we're doing for what a large company would do. It's the same techniques. We just have to apply them. It's very complicated to apply them appropriately.
Oh, one of the things you talked about was data collection, the importance of using that made an appeal to users to help share
Absolutely.
data.
So one of the things we find is, our industry is interesting because our needs are aligned with our customers in terms of data collection. We want to collect data because it helps me sell. A customer wants to collect data because it helps them justify the ROI. So it's an interesting alignment. Often in some industries I've found from my past experience, that alignment isn't there. The industry might have an interest to show you different things than what you're buying on. Because we are telling a story of revenue, we are all incented to do the same thing. So what we've started to do is collect data about our customers. And most of the data collection today, we are not an analytics company. We never want to be. There are many great ones out there. But there's a very large missing piece today. If you go into Google Analytics, you can see what your users did, or web trends, or Omniture, but it's very difficult to track that back to performance. So most of the KPI decisions that are made are today being made in analytics. Our customers look at Google Analytics to see if we made a difference, but we're collecting performance data and trying to track the two together. So we're looking at an open initiative where people can insert JavaScript into their site that tracks back to our data warehouse so we can start really determining what the performance graph is. What's the penalty between 1 and 4 seconds? How does that hurt you? So we're sort of making an appeal to see if there's a worthwhile endeavor here to open up our data collection. We do it for all of our existing customers, and we're interested to see if there's an opportunity for others. And I blogged about that at Web Performance today, and just sort of see if there's a world there, which is my blog. See if there's an interest in the community.
Okay, well, listen, I appreciate you taking some time to fill our readers in. Where can folks learn more about Strangeloop?
Obviously our website, strangeloopnetworks.com. Great publications like yours. We're starting to get a lot of interest from the public, the community in the world. Steve Souders has a great blog. He's sort of the guru of this industry, stevesouders.com. And I blog as well at Web Performance Today. So, if you want marketing propaganda, you can go somewhere. If you want, straight goods, I try to keep it pretty straight and above board on the blog. So, both are really good resources.
Listen, thanks again.
Thank you.